Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of Beyond the Lights, a series where developers are reacting to your comments, providing deep insights, and taking you behind the scenes of how we're crafting 007 First Light. This first episode is going to be focused on gameplay. Let's get straight into it.
Hello guys, I'm Andreas. I've been at IOI for around 10 years, and currently I'm the gameplay director of 007 First Light.
Now, let's see what all the fuss is about.
Let's go.
Bye.
Oh, you can lock the door? Oh, that's amazing.
I appreciate that they broke it up, where the underlings may not know everybody involved. They're an underling. Like, they wouldn't know everybody that's working that location. But the people in charge would. So you can't bluff them in the same way.
I knew from like Hitman and Stealth, like you have many different ways to achieve your objective, but I also love how many options you have in combat.
Yeah, exactly like that actually. Like we had a similar concept in Hitman with the Enforcers. It's not the exact same thing, but it's related. So we have these NPCs that can see through you because they know the people working there. That's the idea about it. And it helps a lot when you try to create puzzles and setups to challenge the player in various ways.
Keep a low profile and don't let your guards down. 009 most certainly won't.
Career approach, that's one of those fun things where really the base definition is about the player feeling creative when overcoming any given challenge in the game. And it's really easy to say that, but it's really hard to kind of translate that into what is the moment-to-moment gameplay that make you feel creative this way. But from this game, we broke it down into the thing that you need to know that there are different options in the game. If we start violating that trust as developers, the player will forget those options or not use them because they don't rely on them, and then it becomes much more narrow option space, so you disregard that. Or you get less creative, at least, in that sense. The last thing, and I think this is a key ingredient that we also had in our prior stealth games in Hitman, was, and I coined this as uncertainty in execution. It's really the thing that you know your own options, you see the options in the environment, and you get to that point where you think, okay, I'm gonna try this thing. So it might be throwing the smoke device and try to sneak by. When you get to the other point and get past them, you think to yourself, oh, I did it. It actually worked. The thing I wanted to do, it worked.
That needs a look.
We made games in the past where combat wasn't really the main approach. So now we have a game where we want stealth and combat to be on equal footing. Some of the ways that I think we push it forward is, and this is very gameplay focused, it's in the stealth gameplay actually, where we now have ways to de-escalate situations a lot easier than we've had before. And that happened because we've married some of those bond traits into our stealth mechanics. So for instance, the bluff.
Oi, I need to find Saunders. There's a chance the suspect is dressed as security. The bastard could be hiding right under your noses.
Damn. I'll keep an eye out for new faces.
Those are ways to kind of contain a situation, even though you were spotted in a place where you weren't supposed to be. You can talk your way out of it, or you can de-escalate the situation and maintain kind of your stealth status. So that loop in a stealth gameplay setting is something that twists us a little bit away from the normal stealth loops. It feels very good to have that second win or a way out at least.
Antique books on display about the castle and local history.
Wonder if you could help me.
I'll certainly try, sir.
Are we ready? All right. Hello, my name is Thomas. I'm a senior level designer on 007 First Light, and I've been at IOI for about 4 years. So in order to highlight the environment, I think we rely a lot on making sure that the player is actually able to see every opportunity at first glance. One of the most important part for us is to be able to give information without the player actually thinking about it. So he just enters the space, look at what he has, and sees the options. And it can be just a railing, it can be two people talking, it could be some kind of eavesdrop opportunity, but the goal is that we present everything in an impeccable way so that the player can actually glance the options and choose whatever he wants. When we talk about IOI, we say this is a postcard creator, because every time you want to dream about a location, you buy the postcard. And you're like, oh, what is the postcard of Italy? And you will say, oh, it's Pise, the tower, right? It's not just showing you this place, it's showing you what you want to be and where you want to be in that space. I think what's interesting with having a young Bond is that it's a almost a new canvas for us and also for players. And usually when you jump into the boots of a new iconic character like this, you are trying to match the energy of that character, and it's very hard to give that to the player right away because players, they just get to discover this character with you. And having a young Bond is perfect because that means you get to understand what Bond will understand at the same time as him. So basically you will try and rehearse at the same time Bond will actually try and rehearse in the game, which matches the energy that we want to give and the story we're trying to tell.
The laser fires a direct beam
Oh yeah,
of
the
energy.
laser,
It
nice.
can be
Of course, the laser. Yes, you can't really make Bond gadgets without having the laser.
nice. Tactically on environmental weak points.
Nice. Just think about the options. We can disable devices from a distance, put people to sleep from a distance, hack things, smoke bombs, distract. When we get caught in a restricted area, we can use up our instinct to bluff.
Exactly. Think about the options. This is funny because obviously we've been in various stages of development on this project, right? And in some of these stages, also in-house, we've talked about, do you have enough options? What it's like? And you had so many options with the games we did prior to this, and it doesn't feel like we have the same. And when you look at them side by side now, Hitman and Bond, you can feel you have a lot more options here. Some of the things that in gameplay make you actually feel like James Bond is some of the things that you know from the movies also. It's unique moments where you see Bond fighting on an airplane wing, for instance. So in those moments you'll feel like Bond. On top of that, there's obviously the gadgets, which is a key component of any Bond movie and obviously should be in a game too.
We always started too big by having so many options that it actually becomes very hard to see all of them. And then we just prototype and test and iterate and test, and we end up with a few that we really like. And the rule from every mission and every encounter, rather social or combat, is to make sure the player has at least 3 or more different ways to solve one option and one puzzle or one situation.
But there are some of these iconic things, like the laser. That's iconic, right? So we really wanted that in somehow. So what kind of object does the laser fit on, right? And we also wanted them to distinct from each other. So if we had a thing for the watch, you've seen the watch being the laser in the movies, but we had other things that we also wanted the watch to be. So how can we marry those things, right?
When it comes to gadget, I think the essential part for us was to make sure we provide the players with enough opportunities to use them. If the player wants to test something and use a gadget somewhere, it should behave the way the player think it should behave. And I think it was just us having fun and trying to find the best way to have fun with those gadgets. All that in mind with what Bond is and how he should use gadgets. Because we all know Bond in the movies, he always uses the gadgets at the last second for the wrong usage, but it works. And I think we also want to provide that, this kind of uncertainty, but you can still do it.
Oh.
Right in the foot, and you see the guy actually go down by the foot.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, dude.
He can climb this, which wasn't that way at all. It actually got knocked down after it got exploded. Look at him yeet the dude, and then kick his shotgun up into his hand.
Oh, no, that's fire.
This is like exactly what James Bond would be doing.
Holy God. But that destruction is what we're talking about. Ooh, ooh.
Having been
Take down.
He's grabbing stuff, ramming them, pushing them over the ledge.
I love the rushing. The melee combat looks great. It looks quite versatile, and I like
strikes.
The hand-to-hand combat does look kind of neat, not gonna lie.
that. I'm sorry, I'm very excited.
Nice. Nice. Nice.
The throwing stuff is doing it for me.
God, I love this.
God, I love it. I also love it.
Sometimes, James.
Yeah, and obviously it's about adding all these moves so you can use the environment and you feel you have the range of the tools to do what you want, right? And you see here, you ram into things, you throw things from the environment, you throw people around over the environment into the environment, and it's giving you a sense of improvisation, which is really Bond's signature way of doing close combat, in this game at least. Also what you know from some of the movies. My favorite environment interaction is probably the fire extinguisher. So it was one of these where, okay, I set out a vision at some point where I was saying, okay, we need to use these environment set pieces in close combat, and they need to go off. Even though it's not super realistic, it's just so much fun to have it happen, right? So, and the signature first attempt was the fire extinguisher. So you grab somebody, you throw them into a fire extinguisher, and that fire extinguisher blows up. And it can blow that guy back in your face, or it can blow up other people surrounding him and whatnot. And the instant we tried it, you just laugh out loud. It's like so fun. So now it got all over the place, like with cement bags and scaffolding. Throw people into those, and it blows up. Yeah, you can shoot them in the feet now. We implemented something where we actually register that as not a direct kill. So this is a way to go through our spaces in a way that you don't kill anybody. Even though we force combat on you in some specific cases, we make it so you can clear challenges in this way and clear these spaces without technically killing anybody. I recently tested another level where I had a similar sequence. I was shooting somebody and I ran out of bullets, and the most effective thing was to climb up a few stories onto a platform. I did that, but when I got there, I had another NPC in my face, and I punched him, and I needed to take him out fast, so I grabbed him, threw him over the railing, realized I still didn't have a gun, so I jumped after him, took his gun. There was another guy in my face, and I shot him, but I ran out of bullets, so I threw the gun. That took out the guy, and ran to him, took up his weapon, and fought on. And it was just, I had to pause the game and put my controller down. I was like, yes, it's actually happening naturally, the flow of events that we set out to do.
I think level design wise, when we build combat arenas and encounters, the goal for us is to make sure the player has enough options to use all the mechanics we have, so gadgets, guns, and melee. And I think to be able to achieve that, the best way is to provide moment-to-moment and second-to-second options for the player to always be able to move around and always move forward. That's the main thing we try to have, is that the player has to go forward and it has to be able to actually always find options. And that means we're not specifically a cover shooter. We don't want the player to stay and stick to one place. We want him to move around and switch between combat range and also combat melee. And that means also using all the different things around to provide that. So combat scenarios are pretty different based on the mission and the context, right? So I think we have very guided combat moments where the player is there, everybody knows he's here and it's been seen, and you have to fight your way through, like every classic Bond movie. And in that sense, we usually provide forward momentum with guiding the player towards a very essential and visual element, so that you always know where you need to go and you're not lost, so that you can also focus on the combat mechanics we have, moving forward, going from melee to range, and also trying to find your way through with gadgets.
In our previous games, combat, both range and close combat, was really a last resort for players. So this time around, we knew we had a protagonist that really, in James Bond, that really wanted a good combat experience. So we knew we had to craft that. We wanted it to be dynamic and reactionary and have that improvisation feel, as we know from James Bond as a character. And then I think the ultimate challenge was really the fact that we have these open gameplay spaces where we wanted the player to have total freedom, and you can choose whatever route you want. Do you want to do stealth? Do you want to do close combat, or anything in between, right? And for that to actually make sense for the player, we knew we had to craft a combat experience that was on par with the stealth experience. Some of the aspects in range combat in our game that we really wanted to highlight or emphasize on was the feeling of shooting a gun, right? You also need all those base level of functionality and feel that you have from other key shooter games, right? So we wanted that sound experience to be deep and impactful, and we spend a lot of time crafting explosions, right, to have that feel that feels like a beefy, meaty explosion. In 007 First Light feels like a very novel feature that we're doing here. It's something we had to invent for this game, because we have a character now that doesn't really shoot first. You know him as a character that he will use force if he needs to, but he won't shoot somebody who didn't actually shoot first. NPC draws a weapon, fires at you, or wants to really badly fire at you, then we give you license to kill, and now you're also allowed to draw your weapon and fire at him.
That's the car.
Got too much of a head start.
We had to up our game here, and you can't really have a James Bond game without driving, so we had to do something, right? And I'm very happy that it has gotten together as it has. So now there's actually driving segments in the game, and you can chase some. You can do some of these mood driving segments where it's a little bit more calm. That's usually introductions to levels, and then you have some high octane chases to have fun with. I mean, the ultimate feeling we want to give the player is to feel like having played as the James Bond character. And this just adds so much into that bucket of feeling.
That was the first episode of Beyond the Lights. We really hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. And don't forget, you can pre-order 007 First Light now and get a free deluxe upgrade. See you guys next time.